Hello, this is Jerry. I'm playing Oxygen Not Included, and this is cycle 125 of my Moonlet playthrough. In the last episode, I launched a rocket. Have not landed yet. They're still heading towards the oily asteroid. And I built some solar panels on top of my base. So hopefully in this, pretty sure in this episode, I'll be landing there and finding out what it looks like. So doing the standard stuff, getting some eggs applied, and noticed that my smooth hatches is filled with 8 smooth hatches, but the stable is not the correct size. It's oversized. So I did that when I was doing some digging in the last episode at some point. So I'm going to build some tiles here such that I get it down to exactly 96 tiles so that those smooth hatches will produce more eggs for me. It is less than 20 seconds till my rocket starts orbiting the oily asteroid, and I realized that I forgot to build a manual generator. I destroyed the ration box where this is going to go in the last episode, but I didn't put in the manual generator, so that didn't allow the oxygen diffuser to run. But fortunately, there was enough oxygen in there in the pipes that I had stored, so it didn't matter because they were only traveling a little bit. So that's good that that's finally there. So I'm going to deploy some refined metal to the surface of this asteroid. I'm then going to explore the one that I'm going to go down and land. I'm going to get them to put on their mask, and I'm going to save just in case something goes wrong. So if I go back, I don't have to start at the beginning of the cycle. I can start right from here. Then I'm going to select Explore as this duplicate deploy, and I'm going to choose a spot that has at least 2 of these payloads, because if I destroy the Trailblazer into these payloads, that's enough to build a platform, and I can get the other dupe down with the rocket, and that'll make things a lot smoother. So first thing they're going to do is destroy their Trailblazer. That's going to produce some refined metal. In this case, it's aluminum. Just make sure that they're both the same material. I did that at the beginning. They're both going to be aluminum. And I'll get 800 kilograms once I destroy or open up the second payload. From that point on, I can build a rocket platform. And because I have a little divot down, I think this is a good spot around here to build this, because it just means ultimately the ladder that goes up to it can be a little bit shorter. So in order to save time, because that dupe will eventually run out of oxygen, I'm going to get them to build a ladder that's spaced out, so it doesn't have to be a fully complete ladder. And I forgot to check their schedule. I think they're getting a bit tired. I think of going to bed, but they can't do that. I'm going to force them to get this done until this rocket is. They'll keep working until that rocket lands. But now that they have a platform, the other dupe can send the rocket down. All they have to do is complete their ladder, and they can go inside. And I'm going to turn off the emergency work order there. And now that they're in here, I can take their mask off. They have access to the oxygen and to food that's inside this space. So there we are. Platform, rocket, 2 dupes. Next goal is provide a place that is habitable inside this asteroid, and it's hot asteroid. There's no places that is a neutral or a decent temperature, at least on the surface area. But temperature isn't going to be my first concern. Actually, my first concern is going to be oxygen. So I'm going to build a door so that oxygen that I produce eventually it won't be able to escape. And then start building a ladder going down. And then we'll put in an oxygen diffuser in the next cycle. Alright, so I don't want my other 2 asteroids to be idle while I concentrate on producing some oxygen on this new asteroid. So just having a look, I've got 97 tiles in that stable, so need to build 1 more tile to make that active. Over here, just looking for more places to dig. Also need to think about food, because I've grown enough food for 1 dupe, and I've got 2 dupes here. And I'll get them to go out and visit some places that have this oxalite, and any place that has some potential food sources such as wild plants. Alright, so that'll do for that asteroid. On this asteroid, I haven't completed the solar asteroid, so I'm going to throw some more solar panels. This one's not fitting just nicely to the side. You can always build it above or below just to maximize the amount of light to power that you're going to get into your base. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go back to this asteroid. I might as well get them, one of the dupes, I'll get the Explorer to put on the second mask, because that's just going to get wasted otherwise. So there, I'll put that on, and I'll take it off them once it expires. So I'm going to dig out a really small spot, and I'm going to build a oxygen diffuser with the manual generator, a small little battery. Also seeing some algae, so I'll just dig out some of that, though I do have some algae inside the rocket itself. Also going to make sure I dig out some copper ore. Have some, again, copper ore on the inside the rocket, but might as well dig it out since it's local anyway. I'll need that for most of the construction. So the focus then is just to build a spot. Now there's high radiation around here. You notice that Explorer has taken some radiation sickness. This is a temporary location for them just to exist, work in, produce a little bit of oxygen, and then I'm going to get them to go further into the asteroid where there's less radiation, and I'll build a second oxygen source, some cots, and all the other some of the luxuries of life that they clearly do not have. Keep in mind that they don't even have a cot inside the rocket. All they have in the rocket is oxygen and food, pretty much. So this asteroid is not going to be very hospitable, at least in the beginning. So I'm going to just make sure I got oxygen and food, and eventually get down so I don't have radiation, and I'll just slowly up the quality of life that I can potentially get from this very inhospitable asteroid at the very moment. Over on my home asteroid, I'm going to build a system to convert clay to ceramic, and I'm going to have a little bit of automation with some bins. So start with that, and at least get my dupes started on that so that they're not idle while I go back to the other asteroid. And also going to go to so I'm just digging out so that I'm going to make sure that my dupes over here have enough tasks, and it looks like they're fine. It's a little frustrating. I got to make sure that I've got enough food. I'd like to incubate some eggs, but I just can't go back and forth. It's just too much for me. So I think it'll be all right. I'm not too worried with the food situation. Might actually force me to get off the incubator anyways, while these two dupes over here do some exploring. So ultimately I want to get lower in the asteroid so that I've got access, or get away from radiation. Also going to find a temperate zone. I always find that in this asteroid. There it is over to the left, to the green area. Excellent. I want to get there because the temperature is a bit better, but there's also more resources for living, such as food. There'll be like muck root and mealwood, and we're going to have a mealwood diet once we get over there. So I'm going to build a ladder, but I don't want to tap into that hydrogen. It's just going to be a nightmare if I've got hydrogen chlorine in my base. I'd rather keep it pure oxygen with a tiny bit of carbon dioxide that my dupes are going to be breathing out. So what I'm going to do is I'm digging down. I'm going to get them to build a ladder on that left side, and while they do that, now I can sneak in a little bit of egg time. Okay, never mind. Looks like Hugger is on break, so I'll just go back over here. I am low on calories because the meat I brought over, barbecue meat, has gone bad. It doesn't last very long, so fortunately I didn't have a lot of muckroot or nutrition bars to take because of the locavore achievement. They burn pretty much all of them in the beginning. Usually if I don't have that achievement, I'll have a lot of nutrition bars to start off with the first few rockets, but I don't have that in this case, so I'm going to have to press a little bit harder to get towards that temperate zone where I know I'll get some, very much hope that I'm going to get some muckroot and mealwood that I can eventually grow to find some calories for these two dupes that are running out of food quite quickly. A big part of this game, and particularly the DLC with many different asteroids, smaller asteroids that you have to visit, you've got to make sure that you maintain the multiple set of asteroids where dupes are located. So in order to do that, I find the best trick is to get into a rhythm. The rhythm that I had with the eggs, which was pretty much just every morning, when the beginning of the cycle would begin, I would attend to my eggs, and then get my dupes to do stuff around that. So what I'm doing here is, I know I've got these other two asteroids that need to be maintained, look after, everything from food to making sure they're just not idle and wasting time. So I'm going to do that at the beginning of every cycle, pause it, give them a bunch of tasks, and then go over here and concentrate on these dupes, because these dupes need the most attention. If they can't find food in enough time, they could starve, whereas the other bases are set up to be able to exist. So I noticed one of the dupes there had made a mess. That's because the rocket has landed. When the rocket is landed, it doesn't output liquid by default. So that polluted water is being backed up on the lavatory that's on there. So I'm going to make that a high priority so they'll get access to that, and then sweep up some of that sick that they had dropped on the floor. So the focus is gotta be on food because calories are getting low. I do have a source for oxygen, albeit only at the top of this asteroid. I do want to very quickly build a second oxygen diffuser, but I really gotta focus on uncovering some muckroot and ultimately mealwood. So long term, these dupes can grow that. I've got a great environment here, 20 or so degrees. So I'm going to choose, so I want 10 things of mealwood. I need approximately 5 per dupe. So if I've got 10, these two dupes should be fine over there. And then hopefully now that I'm earlier in the cycle, I'll get some time with my hugger to lullaby some new eggs. As much as I want to have those farm plots built, that may not actually be the highest priority. And that's because I haven't uncovered any mealwood seeds to actually put it in. So there's no real point in building those until I have a few seeds. And I'm worried about not having enough calories by the time I find that. So I found some muckroot that I'm going to dig out. Hopefully that will be enough to get some mealwood and some farm plots built. Alright, so I'm getting the artist one dupe that is on this asteroid, the ability to dig through obsidian so that they can dig some other places and just generally dig faster, because that's mainly the only thing I'm going to be getting to do, other than possibly expanding the washroom and building a fire pole so that they can go up and down a little bit closer, at least in the main part of the space. In the homeworld, I've got a special project I eventually want to build on top left in my base. I'll go over what that is later, but for the meantime, I'm going to build a ladder that goes up to it so my dupes will at least have access to that area. On the oil asteroid, I'm regretting not bringing mealwood seeds with me. I didn't think that I would need any because I expected to find quite a few and have found very little so far, so not a lot is going in those, but I think that's the main focus. I don't want to have to rely on bristleberry because there's not a ton of water for those things. I'll definitely have to go back in the home base to get some more water if I had to rely on that. But we'll see. If I keep digging, I'll eventually find some more mealwood. Alright, so my dupes have started the ladder that goes up to the top left. And the top of this system is going to be solar panels because I'm going to build some tiles there. And whenever you build tiles, that's going to block light. So I still want to have solar panels to be accessing light, so now that's going to be located a little bit higher. I also want to have some more copper ore be brought over, but I realize I don't have engineer there to build automation for it. I also want to send over refined metal to build automation, and I need scientists to go over to enable that machine to do the teleportation drop off over here. And I'll have to wait for the teleportation system to recharge before I can get engineer back to that spot. But anyway, that I'm in no rush there. Just to make sure I've got enough food for my home base, and then going to build a heavy watt wire that goes up to this new set of solar panels. This is going to be like the final set of solar panels, so it's kind of like the temporary ones are down here to bring in power early on, and I'll show you what that was going to go on with that top left area underneath the solar panels later on. The rest of the cycle, I'm just digging out, desperate for mealwood seeds, and quite surprised I'm struggling to find it. So don't want to give them the ability to dig through obsidian because I'm expecting them, they're going to start, their stress level is going to go up because I can't attend to their quality of life right now if I can't provide food for them. Food has to come first. And unfortunately, that may come with a little bit of stress. So I'm starting with this world over here, and I'm dumping some copper ore in the bins on the ground and getting my dupes to start to put that in the conveyor loader manually, because it's going to be a little bit before I can build the automation to do that for me. So that way the dupes over here can build the heavy watt wire going up to the top left area. I'm going to fast forward through this bit because all I really do is find a few mealwood seeds. I've got a few in there, but I don't even have 5 at the end of this cycle, and that's not even enough for one dupe long term. Fortunately, I do have some muckwood and lots of rare seeds. So many dang rare seeds. I don't need that mini game. On the hot planetoid, I'm just doing some additional digging for my dupes to be able to spend their time, as well as dropping off copper ore to my main base. In this world here, the oil planetoid, I'm again not finding much mealwood, and I'm thinking I might have to go back to the homeworld, which I'm quite surprised. If I certainly had known it would be like this, I would have brought some mealwood with me, but that there you go. I've never had this much trouble finding mealwood on this planetoid before. So I'm going to prepare the rocket platforms in the homeworld. I'm going to raise them up 2 tiles just to save them from the solar panels. I do see another biome that could have it down the center area, so I'm going to build a ladder down towards there and hope when I get in there, hopefully I will find some more mealwood. Eventually mealwood seeds will pop up from the ones that are existing. It's a question more of, will that happen in enough time such that my dupes don't starve? Over in the homeworld, things are a bit of a mess. I can see at least one of the dupes is sick. I'm suspecting radiation poisoning. I am having them do a lot of work outside, which has a lot of radiation on top of the base. So with the rest of the cycle, I'm just going to get my dupes to continue to look for mealwood on that new planetoid, mop up the sick on the homeworld, and I'm going to start the process of building a barracks. Even though I haven't found food yet, I just feel that their stress level could get out of hand if I don't do this. So I'm starting off cycle 133 with completing the barracks. I'm getting 5 tiles from those light bugs or shine bugs so that they don't keep my dupes up. Also concerned about radiation level. So I'm going to have a couple tiles exist above them. And it looks like as long as I've got 2 tiles above them, then it's mostly safe, whatever that means. Over on this planetoid, I'm going to bring scientists back because I want to do some research. Oh, scientists is stuck. Whoops, they're probably a little stressed out, hungry. They're probably lucky to be alive. Okay, yeah, they're probably ready to get back to the homeworld. So I'm going to send them back to the homeworld so I can eventually do some advanced research and don't have the ability to teleport engineer over, but whenever I do, I'll send engineer back so they can make some automation equipment on this side. I'm going to try to build a rocket, but I can't because I don't have metal ore, and it all has to do with the smooth hatches. They're just doing too effective of a job of converting the metal ore to metal. So I'm going to stop that, and well, let's just stop feeding them altogether. With the last little bit of this cycle, I'm just going to complete the ladder at the very beginning spot of this asteroid in hopes of letting my dupes travel a little bit quicker around here. But ultimately, I want this second ladder to be built so I can find out if I have some mealwood seeds down there. I may even have to either send them back or send another rocket over here to deliver some of that mealwood seed. I've got to give one of these dupes the ability to dig through obsidian. So, and I'm also concerned about stress level if I do that. So I'm going to build a Great Hall, which is going to give them a +6 for morale. So hopefully that will deal with that upping their morale, keeping them from being stressed out if I give them that skill. Just checking the critter level, the various different stables, and any of the ones that are short by either 3 from the pip stable or 8 in the hatch stable, I'm wrangling the appropriate critter, and they're going to be automatically brought over by one of the dupes. Copper ore is being delivered to this world for the first time since I turned off the ability for my smooth hatches to be able to consume it. I've got quite a bit of refined copper on the other hand, but I do need copper ore as well. So the first thing I'm going to use to do that, or build with that, is a carbon dioxide engine. I want this new rocket to be more comfortable than the first rocket that I built, so doing the research for a Seafarer module so I can build a much larger inside to my second rocket. Just watching the dupes in this world complete their great haul. So they're going to need to build that water cooler, and they're going to have to plant a Brayer seed. One of the many, many Brayer seeds this game has bestowed upon me in this world. So I'm starting off cycle 135, choosing a spot for a Draco stable, if I pronounce those little critters right. But that critter exists on the oil biome. So the first time the dupes from that world come back, they're going to bring at least one of those, if I remember, hopefully. But that is going to give me access to building some exosuits, because I can trim their little scales, and when they evolve, I actually can get plastic out of them, as well as some additional meat. Not that I need meat at the moment. On this world, I do need to give one of the dupes the ability to dig through obsidian, but I don't have a great haul here because it's too hot. And that little Brayer seed is not developing so well. So I'm going to move that over to a cooler place so that I can get that Brayer seed and ultimately turn that into a great haul. Now, my geysers: cool steam, chlorine, infectious polluted oxygen, carbon dioxide, hot polluted oxygen. Does anyone want to trade with me? This is a terrible set of geysers. So at the end of this cycle, I'm just going to abandon this area here because I'm realizing it's too hot. It's another temperature issue, and it's mealwood that's not going to grow over here. So I'm just going to insulate this area to limit the amount of heat that comes back into my main base, so I don't have to worry about cooling right away. I'm going to choose a new location, perhaps at the top, that's a little bit cooler, so I can get some mealwood growing for the Dracos to be able to eat. Okay, so I'm just going to dig towards, from here to left. Let's remove some of that hydrogen and go into that location. Over here, I need the obsidian skill, or the super hard digging rather, so that they can dig through obsidian, and really hoping that they're going to finish this great haul so that they don't start to get stressed out by being overskilled in a asteroid that doesn't have much morale benefits for them. Starting off, digging out a spot to get to the Draco stable, or new Draco stable. It's going to be set up, so it's in a little bit cooler spot than the place I chose before, and continuing digging down here. And I just noticed that research has been complete on the better Spacefarer module, so I'm going to build some exosuits, or research some exosuits, but that does not require the material research, so I'm going to turn off the red bolt generator and radiation lamp. So I'm continuing digging down in this oil asteroid, and I'm realizing that there's a little gap in the abyssalite that's holding in heat, and that's going to slowly leak into my base and living area, and I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a vacuum on 2 tiles. I can do that by digging at an angle diagonally, and that will keep the heat inside. So just going to go back and check on how things are here, and realize 2 dupes are stranded. Whoops, I don't think they were there too long, but there wasn't a lot of oxygen, so I'm glad I found them. Got them out, and for the rest of the cycle, just some more digging is going to be happening. Starting off this cycle, just ensuring that the vacuum is created correctly, so I'm not going to get heat leaking to my living area on this asteroid. That looks pretty good. I've got a gift of a sweater, snazzy sweater that is, or snazzy suit, and I'm going to give that to Hugger for all their efforts in providing food for my dupes. In the oil world, I'm just going to continue digging down, but I'm going to try to get that water to the side, so I don't have to keep digging through water. I can catch that to the side, get a ladder going down, and hopefully not have my dupes wet the entire time they're digging. Alright, so I think I've got a good location for the Decro stable, whatever those little critters with the scales are called. I'm going to put a shearing station because I want to get the material from their scales off. I'm going to use that to make exosuits, but I'm also leaving space in between here to plant some mealwood. I'm going to put actually wild plants, so I don't have to attend to those. I'll need to use a pip to do that. Notice that the polluted water vent is almost over full, so I'm just going to dig out a little bit of extra space. Dupe that's going to do that's not going to enjoy that job, but I'm also going to build in some more liquid vents or liquid reservoirs for water that just for extra storage. I don't want that polluted water vent to turn off and run out of water because I didn't store enough while it was active. So the system to make ceramic would be active now if it weren't for the fact that it wasn't turned on. So I'm going to get that plugged in. So I've landed on the oil asteroid. I think the biggest surprise for me is the fact that I didn't find nearly as much mealwood as I had expected. I think that I am going to ultimately find enough for my 2 dupes, but it's taken a lot longer. And I think that's delayed some of the life support systems and morale rooms. I don't have a washroom, for instance. I thought by this point I definitely have that, but they're not out of oxygen, they're not out of food, they're surviving, and I've started to explore the asteroid. That is a key thing. And in my home base, they haven't been idle. I've been getting them to work on a system to make ceramic, and I've started the process of getting a stable for those Draco critters, so I can take advantage of some of the resources that I get from that. Anyway, if you want to see that and some other new stuff, like this video, subscribe, and see you in a future video.